Good morning and welcome again to Summit. It's our midweek edition of the program. It's good to be with you again. My name is Jumoke Michaels. Banji, good to be here.
Jumoke, good to be here. Jumoke, good. How was your night?
Good.
We thank God for the compassion of our President Jumoke, for wading, for actually intervening in the subsidy crisis. But for him now, tempers would have been rising and everybody will be looking, expecting what NSC will do January 27 or is it February 1. But there's a temporary relief. There's a respite, even though it's like postponing the evil day. Okay? Yeah, postponing the evil day. But the reality now is that the subsidy issue has been stepped down. There's, the removal is not going to happen until the next 18 months. Well, that's a bit of good news for Nigeria, particularly the masses who are going to, bear the brunt of the application of or the removal of the subsidy. So, Nigerians, congratulations and thank you, President.
That sounds like a sarcastic thank you. Anyway, I join my voice to that thank you. All right, so this morning we'll be looking at two national issues. Like Banji has already said, we'll be looking at the issue of the subsidy removal. We're looking at the implications of that on the economy. And then we'll be transiting to another topic, the NURTW, that's the National Union of Road Transport Workers, suspension in Lagos Island, and then the matters arising around that issue. So we'll be looking at those two issues holistically this morning. And we have been joined in the studio by our friend, a legal practitioner and public affairs analyst, Mr. Jide Ologun. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us.
Should I start by saying, what's your reaction to all of this? For me, I've just thanked the President for being so compassionate, being kind-hearted, to have actually stepped down the issue of subsidy removal. But what was your first thought when, in a dramatic form, so to speak, the federal government intervened and the President, as a matter of fact, said the subsidy should be kept on hold for now? What was your first reaction?
You know, in preventing the likely crisis that may rock the nation, yeah, it's a great thing the President has done. But economically speaking also, we need to look beyond being able to suspend imminent protest. You see, if your car tank is leaking and it stops on the road, you can quickly go and buy 30 liters, pour into it, and start the engine. The engine will still be running. But after some kilometers, the fuel is out again. So why don't you change the fuel tank or fix the fuel tank? And that's the problem of Nigeria. You see, there are two types of subsidy in economics. You talk about the production subsidy, you talk about the consumption subsidy. In our own case now, it's the consumption subsidy. And why are we even talking about subsidy at all? Because we have not developed the capacity to refine our crude oil. Nigeria remains the largest producer of crude oil in Africa. Nigeria has the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa. We have 4 refineries that are moribund, state-owned. And we now take this crude oil, export it to Europe, where there is, a sensible governance approach. They have, effective refineries. So they refine, and we bring back to Nigeria at a premium. And if you look at the value chain of this oil and gas management, the crude oil will give you the fuel, the petrol, the diesel, the kerosene, but we also have what we call petrochemicals. So we even lose some of these byproducts. We boost the economy of the refining nations. We provide jobs for them. Then we now borrow money. Because this thing, you don't pay in Naira. You pay in hard currency. So it does not make economic sense.
Okay, let's look. It doesn't make sense. That's your reaction. Let's look at the policy somersault. The PIA, which had actually been pursued for over a decade was actually passed into law. That's a PIB, passed into law in August 16 to be precise. And everybody celebrated because it's like giving the power to the masses. That's what the masses are always craved for. And it was to commence operation in February. That's after 6 months of coming on stream. Now, this suspension, this subsidy removal suspension, I mean, in a way, negates the principle of PIA. Now, what do you say about these policies? I mean, running counter to one another.
You know, when you talk about vision, it talks about destination, and it means you think it through. The Bible says whoever is planning to build a house should also count the cost and ask yourself, am I able to finish or not to finish? And we are in a situation where decisions are taken based on present circumstances. And we have references. At the point we just rose up and shut the land borders. At the end of the day, we lost so much. And the government even confessed that this wasn't a productive policy implementation. And here we are now. The Petroleum Industry Act will be suspended because there was no thorough think through, because we have not been able to plug into sustainable development tenets. If you read section 15 to section 16 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says that the government shall manage the resources of the country in a way that we have a self-reliant economy, sustainable development. That's what we have not been able to achieve. And of course, if you are not able to achieve this, you will dislodge your policy. And governance is about policy formulation and policy implementation. So, and the elders have a saying that if you see a crippled person and you are complaining that, oh, what you are carrying on the head is bending to one side, the crippled person will tell you, why don't you look at my legs? That my legs are bent. So we have not addressed the critical issues in this country. Let me explain what is actually going on. Because for majority of people, it's, oh, they've suspended subsidy. The subsidy we are talking about is 4.6 trillion naira annually. Because the claim is that Nigerians, with a population of about 200 million, to be conservative, consumes 19.533 billion liters of fuel yearly. And the reasonable cost, the landing cost, is about 403 naira. So who pays the difference between 165 and 403? The government. That is the explanation of subsidy. So 4.6 trillion naira goes into some pockets annually. That is the subsidy we are talking about. You see, so what is happening now is that, okay, if we cannot remove the subsidy, we continue to spend this money. How do we find that money to spend? We borrow. The indebtedness of Nigeria total as at March 2015 stood at the threshold of 12.12 trillion naira. Today it is 39 trillion naira or thereabout. So I mean, so when you look at this, recently a report came out that this wonderful government spent $62.5 billion, not naira, to turn around moribund refineries, enough to build 3 brand new refineries.
And that same money is still in the 2022 budget.
I don't want to discuss budgets, because this thing is disturbing to some of us who research all these policies. So we are now talking about considering the plight of the people. Which people? How much am I paying for electricity now? You see, what is the cost of living in Nigeria? What is the rate of unemployment? What is the inflation rate for food items? What we used to buy, one cookie I like so much, we used to buy it for 250. The last time I was in the supermarket, it's 650 naira. Ma, what percentage of increase is that? You see, for researchers like us, once in a while we just go into restaurant. We want to see how people are coping. And some people order for beans. They serve dead beans. They feel like throwing the beans at the face of the person serving. The mold of amala that used to be 100 naira is now 200 naira. Take it or take it.
as much as we are rejoicing, and as much as people are rejoicing that this fuel subsidy has been removed, it has a huge implications.
4.6 trillion naira. Go and research it.
Yeah. So now they are saying that like an additional 1.5 trillion naira will have to be provided for in the 2022 Federation budget, which translates to more borrowing, like you just said. Now let's look at some other implications on the economy. Banji is like,
no, I'm even worried about I'm worried because you said here that sometimes some of these policies are not thought through before they are actually introduced. Don't forget that Zainab Ahmed, the Minister of Finance, in November, when she spoke about subsidy removal, and that the poorest of the poor will be taken care of by this palliative 5,000 monthly. The National Assembly rose and said they were shocked that minister was talking about palliatives when it's not captured in the 2022 budget. That budget subsidy removal was not part of the discourse at the National Assembly. So I'm looking at even interagency or intergovernment communication. What do you think is actually happening between the National Assembly, for instance, and the executive? I mean, these are issues that some of us that are even, maybe say novice, that don't have much knowledge about administration, are sometimes taken aback when we hear such things. Now,
we had a
where would that, just as Jumoke said, where would that money come from? The additional 1.5 trillion. And then Zainab Ahmed is saying the subsidy would have to run for the next 18 months.
Let me first raise an objection. You are not a novice in administration, so
No, let me say, in public administration, I have not heard
you are a supermind. I've known you for years. Anyway, back to our discussion. Is what we are saying. There should be synergy between the three arms of government, talking about the executive, legislative, and judicial arms. And of course, we now have MDAs, ministry, departments, and agencies to carry out the functions of the government. And the Constitution gives them a mandate that anything they do must be in the interest of the nation. And whether they embark on what we call stakeholders engagement in public relations is a different issue. But I'm not surprised. We saw a case recently where some gunmen invaded the home of Honorable Justice Mary Odili. One of them claimed to be a consultant to the Federal Attorney General of Nigeria. They got a warrant from a magistrate, and different kinds of denials are going on. You see, so there was a time masked mobile policemen besieged the National Assembly under the 8th Assembly, order from above. So you see situations. There had been times when the spokespersons of the president, we make one claim, it's another claim. So it may be characteristic of this regime, and I hope they still have time within the number of few months left to correct that. But coming to where the money will come from, obviously, where will the money come from? Either from taxation or from borrowing. Because we have not maximized our resources. I don't want to frighten us by statistics some of us have read about on oil theft in this country. Recently, a report came out that the electricity we supply to Benin Republic, the Niger Republic, and Togo are probably not even paid for. And yet here in Nigeria, you have estimated billings. You see? So you now find out that transformational leadership is under query. What do I mean? There are two key elements in wealth creation and sustenance. You talk about resources. You talk about resourcefulness. Where you have resources and you are not resourceful, you will end up in poverty. Where you don't have resources and you are resourceful, somehow you end up in prosperity. Do I have examples? Yes, I do. Nigeria discovered oil in commercial quantity in 1956 in Oloibiri, the present Niger Delta region. And we joined the oil-producing nations. NNPC was established 1st of April 1977. Today, NNPC recently threatened zero remittance to the Federation account. You see, and yet the UAE, United Arab Emirates, discovered oil in 1958, and that region has been translated from a desert to a paradise. So that is the clear picture of resourcefulness. I have said it. Singapore left Malaysia in 1965 as, almost frustrated society with little resources. But today, it's one of the best places to live and to work in the world because of resourceful leadership. We can tell us the story of Rwanda. We can step into Tanzania. So for Nigeria, I have said it, what God has deposited in Nigeria, they are enough for the whole of Africa. But we are still yearning for resourceful engagement of the overflowing resources that we have. I've said it, go and research it. Nigeria has the second largest deposit of bitumen in the whole world. We have no business complaining about bad roads in this country. You want to talk about the gold deposit in Zamfara? So what do we keep saying? We have glass sand, we have bauxite, we have iron ore. We should not be importing iron from China. We have iron, we have mountains that we can blow up, construct roads, and different kinds of, the water resources alone can sustain us.
Now, if you listen to the Minister of State for Petroleum, that's Honorable Silva. Now, he actually explained, let me say comprehensively to Nigerians, the reason why the subsidy is going to be suspended for another 18 months, of course, in the interest of the poorest of the poor, the masses, who have been said. We said Nigeria, we have over 91% that are under, that are living below poverty line. Now, these are the people that have been considered. And he said before the implementation of subsidy removal, before subsidy will be removed eventually, there are a number of structures will have to be put in place. Now I'm asking, these structures, if I must mention a few of them, he talked about Dangote refinery, which he hopefully thinks will come on course before at the end of this year. Then the Port Harcourt refinery would have also undergone some maintenance or reactivation, and it's also expected to come on stream. He talked about the modular refineries and several others. I'm asking, are these ideas, just occurring to federal government that these are things that should have actually been put in place before the introduction of the removal of subsidy in the first place? We've been talking about removal, and you've told me offset that we have brilliant people in government. Now, why do we always put the cart before the horse?
It's an election year, so you'll be listening to a lot of beautiful promises. But if you have made promises,
I hope you are not imputing political motive into all of this.
Everything is political
So
in life.
are you a PDP man?
No, I'm not a PDP
Because
man.
that's the position of PDP.
No.
That the subsidy removal is being.
I'm a Nigerian. I'm for national development advocacy. So this is not partisan in any way.
All right. So.
And I was going to say, as a concerned citizen, entitled to benefit from the mandates of the Constitution of this country, to which our leaders swore, all the promises made to me towards 2015 election, to fight corruption, how far? To restore the economy, how far? Dollar was 190, 210 naira in 2015, sir. Dollar is 570 now in the black market. So if you're an investor and you went borrowing, or you imported when you borrowed dollar at 360 and you wake up the next 2 weeks, it's now 570. Definitely you land in the hospital. Let's face reality. In 2015, we were only dealing with Boko Haram Now it's Islamic States of West Africa, bandits, now who have been branded terrorists by a court decision, kidnapping. I mean, what are we talking about? You see, so promises can be made. Integrity is not evaluated via promises. Integrity is evaluated by performance. So if you promise to build 75 refineries, those who believe you will believe you. But then in Nigeria, we are quick to forget these promises. Some of us remember, we have diskettes where we store these things. The Minister of State for Petroleum, before the present one, before Silva, Dr. Ibe Kachuku, said that NNPC was going to invest in electricity. Maybe they have done that in your village. Abi, Mr. Banji. And so we remember these things. But let me say this. I feel sorry for Nigeria. Because why do we sit on enormous wealth and we are experiencing poverty? Now we are saying 91 million.
91%.
Okay, percent or whatever. We now have the 110, Abi, because we are 200 million under the poverty, Abi. That is what the stethoscope of the government can capture. Drive round. I don't know if you are worried about it.
No, it's not 91 million Nigerians. So the statistics is saying, the research is saying that 91%. So it's just about 91%.
Yes.
So we're talking about over 160.
I apologize for underestimating. Just go round. For some of us who like to stroll in the evening, it's no longer fashionable. Because you see beggars who are between begging and robbing moving after you. I went to a big cash and carry about 2 days ago. I was shocked. As I was coming out, the security man came to me in uniform, begging for money that the wife delivered. You don't see those things. We never used to see those things. You are a security man. You are not transactional in any way. You face your business. You go around, you see. Now, let me say this on air.
No, the question I asked is why is the government talking about those structures now?
Why that's the question I'm answering, because they are not facing reality. Why are we in the level of poverty we are now? Because they have failed in their promises. We started discussing modular refineries, man. As far some of us said, okay, we give this regime 1 year. Let's see, that is what many Nigerians said. And we were support. We are still supporting, because I want my country to reign high. I want people to enjoy. If they have fulfilled their promises, if by now, sir, we have about, let's even say, 28 modular refineries functional, in addition to the revived 4 refineries we have, do you think we'll be complaining about unemployment in Nigeria? Do we think we'll be talking about removing fuel subsidy? In fact, we will now be exporting fuel. Let me reveal this to us. And please, whatever I say here, try and research them, and you will find them there. Recently, a top government official came out to say that concerning the subsidy, that even Cameroon relies on smuggled products from Nigeria. What is the Nigerian customs doing? That's what we are saying. So what is the purpose of government? What is the purpose of government? But I will answer that question. What will the customs not be doing? When I read the report that the customs gave rise to bandits, I mean, we are in trouble. Customs gave rise to bandits. And why will I not be worried? When the Attorney General of the Federation came out to say they have identified 400 sponsors of Boko Haram, and that they were not going to name them, that they will be prosecuted. When will they be prosecuted? Maybe after 20 months. So I wish if they can build 75 refineries before May 29, 2020.
All right, we have the number.
But this country, we know our problems, we know our solutions. But we probably don't want the solutions.
All right, we have the number on the screen. Please, the line is already ringing. But what we want you to do is to send an SMS Just send an SMS with your name and your location, and just in a few words, just tell us what you think about the topic we are discussing here in the studio, and I'll read it out from here. Thank you. All right, on Monday during our program, we had our guest here, and somehow we touched a bit on this issue of fuel subsidy. Okay, I think that was what we even discussed on Monday. And then the man was saying that as some state governors or state governments have been discovering
refineries,
illegal
refineries.
refineries, yes, and that in Port Harcourt alone, over 100 was discovered, illegal refineries. And he was saying something about, why will the government not call these people? What are they doing to get results? Because, of course, the fuel they refine, they sell, and they make money. So he was talking about, why would the government not get these people, train them, you know,
and legalize
them, legalize what they are doing? Because the long and short of it is that they are producing, they are selling, they are making money. What do you think in this regard? Is this something that could be considered for now?
Speaking under the analysis immunity, I will just say simply, because we are not a united country, so we are afraid of developing capacity. It's a very simple thing. At a time, you dare not move near China products. Oh, it's Chinese, it's fake.
Yeah.
But today, China controls the economy. So we just found a valid point. But who will develop them? When we are busy fighting region, I'm from this area, I don't want. Who can tell us the Metro Line project of Lagos State? What happened to it? I mean, let's face reality.
They just purchased 2 trains. Lagos State.
Thank God for what is going on. I'm going to history now, but we don't have time for that. We have been suppressing the development of this nation under the sentiments of ethnicity, sentiments of religion, sentiments of regionalism. Why should herders be fighting farmers? Are they not in the same industry or food production? So we need love in this country. We need enlightenment. Our leaders must be enlightened. That united you stand, divided you fall. And that the commonwealth is for the common good. So these are the problems. And that is why you will see, and I'm still answering your questions, man, that the southern governor will rise up to say we want security. The northern governors will rise up to say no, he must have insecurity. So we are a confused people. I just told us about UAE, United Arab Emirates, United States of America, United Kingdom, the economy of California.
We apologize for that abrupt break in transmission. It was due to some technical fault here in the studio. Don't forget that you can be part of this conversation by sending an SMS to the number displayed on the screen. Don't forget to include your name and your location, and we'll read out your message from here in the studio. We're talking about the implications of the removal of the fuel subsidy on our Nigerian economy. Okay, one of the consequences I think I would like us to talk about is the states that depend solely on federal allocation to service their infrastructure and everything. What is the consequences of all this on them? Because that's one of the areas where so many people are worried.
Definitely, there will be dwindling revenue, which is obvious, and some of them have started reaction, and that's why the governor of Rivers State, he quickly went to study the law as a lawyer, and he discovered that the value-added tax will actually be retained by his state, and he won the case in court, and the matter is in Supreme Court, but it's not likely to be settled legally. They are now talking about political solutions. So they will look around. We just said it, but having said that, you have the mineral resources of Nigeria under the exclusive legislative list, which means the federal government controls it. And to what extent will the federal government control these resources to benefit the whole country? That is another question. That is another question. I just said it. Ondo State has enormous resources. But the governor cannot just wake up today to say, I want to export bitumen. Even we are talking about state policing. It's a difficult thing. And that's why, this is one of the aspects of the restructuring we are talking about. That can we restructure this nation? Look at what we had in the First Republic, the early 1960s, when we became a republic in 1963. It was from the cocoa revenue that the first television station in Africa, Cocoa House, free education, you had the pyramids, now rice pyramid is returning. The pyramid, granite pyramid in the north, coal in the, but eventually we broke down that regional system of government to form this unitary federal system. You see, so, and I think the best bet for us, if we need to be realistic and really want development in this country, is to empower regions to engage their resources and maximize the benefits to the people and make contributions to the center. But what do we have?
As we discuss these issues, something just came to my mind, and I kept wondering what magic is actually, or what's actually happening. You said earlier on that NNPC threatened a zero remittances to the FG. Now we've always said Nigeria is a mono economy where we depend largely on the resources or revenue from oil. If NNPC is not delivering or remitting to the federal government, by what magic are we able to send these handouts to states every month?
That question is answered by the borrowing. I just told us, it's on record.
So we borrowed
the
to pay
total
salaries.
indebtedness was about 12.12 trillion naira in 2015. It's about 39 trillion naira now. What have we done? Oh, we have built railway line to Nigeria Republic, the one running through Abeokuta to massive infrastructure, but not to justify what we have borrowed. And right now, what we spent on servicing the debt alone, the interest is huge. And that's why some are asking, are you mortgaging the future? And yet, we have in Nigeria mineral resources that can give us revenue. We're talking about illegal refiners. Yeah. Let's even leave illegal refiners alone. Can we go to the United States of America? Can we go to, great worlds? The United States has about at least 135 functional refineries that come. What you have done in your country, can you come and help us do it in Nigeria? Is it not a shame, in quote, that a country cannot manage 4 refineries and an individual with his organization is building one of the largest refineries in the continent? Something must be wrong somewhere, sir.
All right, let me just read the few messages we have because we need to transit to the second topic. This message is from Ernest Ezechukwu from Akomojo. He says, I always enjoy that man in the studio because he knows the country in and out. This is the kind of personality I always enjoy watching. That's for you, sir.
Thank you.
He said, on the subsidy issue, there is nothing like subsidy in Nigeria. It's the only way politicians use to siphon our common wealth. That's Ernest's opinion. And then another one says, it says the current leadership are selfish, even the ruling party. They should leave office. They should decide whether to divide the nation or leave it as it is. Yeah, that's what he's saying. That's Okechukwu from Ojodu Beggar. Another one, let me just read. The messages are coming in. May God bless all. I am Mr. Kishola from Ikorodu. Please, we should not deceive ourselves. This regime has nothing to deliver to us. Thank you. One last one. He said, this is from Karim Olawale from Agbara. He says, leadership is the main problem of our country, and we keep recycling old, clueless, and selfish politicians. Why can't we vote for people like Akinwumi Adesina? He listed the whole names, who are technocrats and professionals in economics and national planning. May God guide us through the right
path. Let me have 2 other names on there.
Okay, let me, some of the names he mentioned are Akinwumi Adesina, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Kingsley Moghalu is mentioning Akinwumi Ambode. No. Okay, Akinwumi Adesina again. All right, so those are the names he mentioned.
So maybe they are the names we should be looking at for in 2023 elections.
But some of them have the opportunity of serving in the system. Dr. Akinwumi did so well in agriculture. In fact, he is the president of African Development Bank. And in my town, Okakoko, we have a beautiful adage that your mother's child cannot be on the mango tree and you are eating the one that is not ripe. And that's what we are saying. We need to really want development. One of our own is the DG of World Trade Organization. So what we have people in the National Assembly and United Nations General Assembly, we have people highly placed, but are we willing to benefit from this? And that's the role of leadership. It's leadership that we now identify that, oh, we can make this happen here, we can tap into this opportunity. And look at what...
Now, before we leave, Jumoke, I know that we have received that.
Okay,
let me just ask,
go on.
in the next 18 months, just this, in the next 18 months, by God's grace, this administration would have terminated, and President Muhammadu Buhari would have actually left Aso Rock. Now, so do you not think the burden of subsidy removal for a new regime may be an unrealistic one? And then let me just simply ask, I mean, in a straightforward manner, 18 months may seem to be very, very far, like an eternity. But what should we start doing now practically to ensure that we don't wake up to find out that the subsidy...
With the resources in Nigeria and with strategic thinking, I'm not afraid for Nigeria. It's a matter of policy. Look at what happened in Rwanda. Paul Kagame just rose up and turned around the direction of that country from hell back to heaven. So it's a matter, governance is about policy formulation and implementation. So what about if we now have a leader that says, okay, I'm not going to deal with fuel subsidy, but we first sack the corrupt people in NNPC, dismantle the whole system, block smuggling, arrest customs officers who are corrupt, streamline, profile the citizenship of Nigeria. If you cannot tell me where your father's house is in Nigeria and you are bringing guns into this country, you send them back. It doesn't take rocket science to sanitize the society. It doesn't matter, sir. I'm not, whether it's Yoruba or you even carry Yoruba, mix Yoruba with Igbo, with Hausa, we need leadership. Crude oil does not speak any language. Gold does not speak any language. The SUV, Prado, and these things they all drive around, they're black tinted and everything. Is it a vehicle for any ethnic group? You see, good things are good, sir. I want people to enjoy life. So for me, it doesn't matter where the leader is from. I'm a Nigerian. By the grace of God, I've been to every part of this nation. I have friends across the country. I've been from Arochukwu to Meduguri to Arugungu. Have you been to Arugungu fishing?
No, I've not.
I've been around. I love Nigeria.
No, but I think that that critical question you asked, he hasn't answered. That what should we be doing now? What should
let us repent?
Be doing now?
There is wickedness in this land.
Before the 18-month elapses.
Let them begin to repent. You will leave office. If you live with history of wickedness, your generation is doomed. Now we celebrate Mandela. Why? Because the man served his people. Is it the same thing we are saying about Idi Amin? The answer is no. It's a very simple thing. We all write our history. So let the people who are opening their eyes and seeing people suffer in Nigeria and they are not moved, let them repent. What we have in Nigeria is enough for all of us.
Just hang it there.
All right, the message is...
They'll take one or two.
Okay, let me just take this one more. My name is Mr. Luke Azuka from Araromi, Badagry, Lagos. The number one problem is that the government has failed us and they are confused on what to do. You see, the problem is that I believe that this kind of progress is very good for them to... This kind of program is very good for them to listen to, but I don't believe they do listen. And even if they do, they can never work towards it, honestly. There's nothing called subsidy. They use that language to embezzle money. All right. So that's about that on this topic. We'll move to the next one, yeah. And that's on the issue of the NURTW suspension in Lagos Island. Matters arising.
Matters arising is no longer news. I believe the Leonard guest here is fully aware of what actually happened in Lagos Island last week. It was mayhem at the peak. And for the fact that we are on a national television, those pictures are gory and they are distasteful. We would have shown some of the pictures here. The whole economic activities came to a halt and everybody ran for their dear lives. I mean, illegality, criminality became the order of the day for those 2 days. It was a kind of clash between two rival unions. I mean, within NURTW, now that's National Union of Road Transport Workers. Of course, they are notorious all over the country. I mean, for crimes and criminalities and disorderliness. But this one was something else. Now, just yesterday, Lagos State government has risen to the task and suspended just
the
Idumota and a few other branches in Idumota and Lagos Island. And we're 10 past to forestall further kind of clashes. But do you think that decision or that position of state government is enough to curb further or future criminalities like that?
Firstly, let me commend Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu and his team for taking that decision, because there must be consequences, so that you don't allow what we call reinforcement theory in industrial psychology to have its way, because they just keep escalating to different kinds of crime. And the purpose of the government is to regulate the society for the benefit of all. And having said that, is that enough? The answer is no. It is not enough. The transportation business is a very lucrative business. So how can the government look at it? We are talking about generating revenue in a way that you maximize it and turn it to a beautiful project, not hijacked by some who become so powerful that they become threats to not just society, but to the government. You see, that fracas, even policemen, they were moved by the level of display of violence. And I have said it respectfully, almost all our leaders have traveled abroad. I did not see the kind of template we allow in Lagos. In Dubai, I did not see it in Abu Dhabi. I did not see it in New York City. I didn't see it in Washington, D.C. I didn't see it in the UK. So, because now we are talking about Lagos Island. What about the reports we've had in Araromi everywhere? I have been complaining, sir, that the beautiful edifice, the bus stop at Ojodubaga on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, that the Lagos State government spent so much money to put in place, has been violated. Towards evening, there is traffic there. And in this traffic, people may be robbed because some people just hijack, they don't obey the laws, they don't drive into the park. So you need to ensure that you don't create an impression that you make laws you cannot enforce. After God, the next most powerful body is the government. But having said that also, we need to go under. And what do I mean? There may be some undercurrent. These same personalities that are at liberty to disrupt the peace of the society, are they not foot soldiers to politicians? That when elections come, they can remove their shirts and go to town and say, what do you want us to do? And they do it. Where do they get their ammunition from? Where do they get the influence from? You see, we have read reports of how much these people mobilize within the community. And they pass down these taxes to the people. And I am again challenging the Lagos State government on the template of sanity. Is it about revenue or about safety? I have seen vehicles in Lagos that should be on dump sites. Mr. Governor, Lagos is a center of excellence. We love you, sir. Let's give Lagos State the respect it deserves. It's not going to be an easy thing, but let's start moving towards it. I go around, I see the projects. I love the park coming up in Ojota. You look at the beautiful edifices. The transportation business should be streamlined, and people can benefit from it. The NURTW is a legitimate body, registered, and they have fashioned a way of controlling revenue. But is the revenue regulated? Is it done orderly? Now, may I say this on air, and please permit me, is because I love Lagos. I mean, these are Lagos. You drive into Lagos through Ojodubaga bus stop axis. You see people defecating by the roadside. Daylight. I have pictures. Eko, center of excellence. I mean, we should reject some things. And it's because they probably have the leeway to operate the way they like.
All right, so you're saying that aside the issue of suspension, more work needs to be put into regulating, redesigning their functions, and checkmating some of their activities. That's what should be done as a way forward.
We need to enforce our laws.
Okay, enforcement.
Look at what the governor has done. Very brilliant. Suspension. Who will dare him? They say where the word of a king is, there is authority.
You spoke about being responsible, that somebody has to be responsible for those acts of violence. Now, there's a leadership for NURTW in the entire state. We've seen such, what happened in Lagos State last week has happened in other states. We've seen that of Oyo State, we've seen that of Ogun State, and some other states of federation. When the hammer is falling, it's on the entire state. I don't know why there's this selective punitive measures for just Idumota. These acts have happened in other parts of the state. My 12 and other parts of the state. And is this not just the first time? So why should there be this selective punitive measure? Shouldn't the leadership have been held responsible? Wouldn't that be much more effective in terms of sanity in the
I think that decision should be thrown back to the governor. But I know in crisis management, you have the capsule approach, you have the global approach, But let me tell you, the personality you are making reference to is a human being to study. His administrative capabilities can be of advantage to the government. How do they generate the revenue they generate? They move billions in this Lagos on an annual basis. And their officers are very effective. You don't mess up. So how have they achieved it? That's what we are saying. So you look at how to regulate them. And nobody's above the law. The prevalence of the rule of law is the conveyor belt of peace and security in any land. But again, it's about influence. So if I am so influential that I can move my boys to say, you cannot achieve what you want to achieve, that is another thing. And that's why we must also begin to restructure our political processes so that we don't find ourselves in the hands of those who may help you win an election and frustrate your good intentions. Because, like I said, by now, the mode of transportation in Lagos State should be like what we have in Dubai. You go into Dubai, you see beautiful, brand new vehicles moving in from the airport everywhere, metro line and things like that. You enjoy yourself. But it should be a difficult thing to achieve because the Babai Sales that own these damn fools, you don't move near them. So the government is either helpless or decisive. I have said it. I have read signs. I have pictures saying street trading is prohibited. Fine, 90,000 naira. And right under that signboard, you see young ones, about 70, trading. Drive from Mobolaji Bankantoni end of Lasut to Maryland. You find
And
them.
they pay levy,
Awolowo.
they pay levy to even sell on the streets.
You know what I mean? So these are issues. So the government is losing so much revenue. The same thing we have in oil theft. You know, different kinds of areas. You know, gorilla swallowing money and things like that. So we need to rise up. And Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. And the vices we have in our societies, they are within the capsule of these two elements. So I wish the government the best. And, you know, I love Lagos, the center of excellence, and we look forward to a time when the profiling will be, you know, beautiful.
All right, thank you so much, sir. That's, maybe I can still read some messages, even though it's still on fuel subsidy. All right, this person is Apostle Dr. Odelabu Lord Saint from Ifo. He says, as far as we are not honest to ourselves, Nigeria will remain a country of a deserted people in years to come. He answered, he said, God forbid.
God forbid.
All right. So another one from Uche. Uche sent this message from Newi. He said the present president is the only president that is more than ready to be president since 1999, where he listed how Obasanjo was in prison and was made president. President Yaradua was picked by Obasanjo. Good luck came out as a result of the death of Yaradua. But fast forward to Buhari, he was the most prepared, but he's the one that has most failed. That's Uche from Newi. Let me see this last one. My name is Mr. Bayomi Olubode from Ojodubega. He says, the guest, Mr. Ologun, have said a lot. He's an intelligent man. We know our problem, and we all know the solution. Thank you so much. And that's our program today. Thank you for watching, and for those who have sent messages, we appreciate you. My name is Jumoke Michael. See you again on Monday for another edition of Summit.
Yes, we need to sincerely thank you for your time and your thoughts. You'll be recommended for presidency. So don't shy away from that. Thank you for being part of today's edition of Summit. My name is Banji Busari.